Welcome, ladies. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
Raleigh.
Good
Hi,
morning.
You got your little thing today for Hanukkah. Thank you.
How are we enjoying the weather?
I stay inside.
Little cold.
Right. It is like bitter
Yeah.
out there. Colder than New York. My kids are telling me.
Really? But you know what?
Yeah.
I'll show you a picture of what it's like in Cleveland, and
It's
you'll
snowing?
be glad that you're here.
No way.
Yeah.
It was colder here than everywhere.
Wait.
Wait, we can't see.
Wow.
That's a lot of snow.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
snow. 9 to 12 inches on December 1st in Cleveland.
That is
Yeah.
a ton of snow.
They're not that far off of Lake Erie, and they got hit.
Wow. But that's Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think it's always like that. Like it's always cold and snowy in the winter.
That's the reason why she will never get me to move to Cleveland.
No, she won't. You'll get her to move here faster.
Yeah, she's gonna come back here, down here better.
Right.
Yeah, she sent me that yesterday, and I'm like, I'm not going to Cleveland.
Hey, Ashley. Good
Hi
morning.
there. How are you?
How are you? How you doing?
Great, thank you. And you ladies?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, got my cup of tea here.
Yeah, well,
Have your tea.
I had ready this morning. I'm afraid if I have more, I'll have to spend more time in another room. Let's put it that way. So I will be skipping any other drinks like that right now.
Okay.
But I do have
Eileen, you're on here twice. Is this a different Eileen or
yeah, that's Flanker.
Eileen Schlenker?
Yep.
Okay.
I am here.
Hi, Eileen. I just didn't know if Eileen Botmanick was signing on from 2 different devices or if this was another Eileen. So
Okay, this is Eileen. I laugh.
I see. Eileen, I laugh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, she's been going to Schiffer's classes for many years.
Yeah.
And the 2 planted beans.
Okay. We'll just wait another minute or 2 for Shifra. Oh, and Bonnie says she's logging in.
Right.
Terra study. Okay.
Yeah, she said logging in and running. Yeah.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back up.
Uh,
Take this down with you so you have it by
I got some paper. I wonder if she can, like she used to do, like send something out, so we could print up.
Yes, that's a good idea. Let's suggest that. She totally, because I know Schiffer likes to always make the handouts.
Right. So if she
So we
sends
could-
early enough to print out,
Right,
then we can have them,
right, or she could share it. The first class, I know she shared it,
Right.
but good idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then you can have, like, when you want to write notes, you can just.
right.
I told you I share all this stuff on Shabbos. Your class, all the other class.
Wow. Elisa's here and Shifra, admit. Okay.
Okay, there she's coming.
Okay.
Hello, hello.
Elise.
Hi.
Good morning. Hello, good to see you all.
Okay, Tove.
Boker Tov. What does it say? What does it say on your mug in Hebrew?
Oh, so I'm not sure. The front temples at Tikva
That's great.
are together. What does it say on the back?
Anu chazakim biyachad. We are strong together.
Okay, I like it.
We are
I
sounds
figured
good.
it was appropriate that I use this mug today.
Definitely.
Good.
Definitely
Susan.
appropriate.
No, quite on yet.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Hi, Shifra.
Hello, Susan. Good to have you.
Oh, Elise, congratulations to your cousin.
Oh, yeah, my cousin.
What
Yeah.
about your cousin?
My cousin is Avril Haines, who's been nominated for Biden's cabinet to be the director of national intelligence.
And she's Jewish.
So, well, she is because her mother was my dad's. We share both of our grandmothers were sisters, and her mother was my dad's first cousin. So she's Jewish. I don't know if her dad was Jewish because then I don't know.
She's
but-
Jewish.
Well, as long as her mom's Jewish, she's still Jewish.
Right, exactly. So she's
Or
Jewish.
her grandmother on her mother's side.
Well, no, both the mother and the grandmother. My grandmother's.
Right,
were-
well, yeah, I'm saying,
Yeah.
well, yeah, usually, yeah.
Yeah. So it's very
Okay.
exciting.
Beautiful. It's very, congratulations. That's like a big, big thing, huh?
It is a big thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I see it's 10:06. I'm gonna let in
Got it.
Bonnie and Shifra. I think we should get started.
I
Honey,
need to
can
run
you
to
make
the
me a co-host so I can? see
Yes,
you?
yes. Let me do that.
Okie dokie. So
Okay.
good
Bonnie.
morning, everyone. Hello. It's so lovely to see all these amazing faces. Good morning. Good morning.
Bonnie.
Okay.
So we've taken a little journey so far. And in our past weeks, we've discovered what our soul is and where we're going, what we're trying to accomplish, what the future holds, what we're looking towards. And that gives us a lot of hope and a lot of positive energy in knowing the immense power that our souls have and the incredible deal that we have to accomplish and the incredible future that we have to look forward to and to get to. But the question is, the Jewish women's question always is, well, how do we do that? Practically, right? I think when women sit through a class, men can discuss all these philosophical ideas and it's great and it's wonderful. And then they walk out and, it just stays somewhere up there. Women are like, okay, what's the point? Like, what are we actually supposed to be doing with this? And that's really the most important question. Because without that question, we all know that nothing really gets done. Maybe that's why women are the ones that we're all relying on to get us to the time of Mashiach, because women ask the question, how do we get this done? And we are going to get this done. So I'm going to show you some stories from Torah. I'm going to show you some beautiful quotes and beautiful ideas. And I will send you these quotes and some beautiful pictures also to the WhatsApp group. I can put it also here in the chat for anyone who wants. And we'll take this wonderful journey together, asking ourselves, well, how do we really get this job done? And I think that in order to properly answer this question, we have to go back to one of the most important characters for us as Jewish women, not of the holiday that's coming up, unfortunately, but of another awesome Jewish holiday called
Miva's got a doctor's appointment.
Purim. And who was the star of the show in the story of Purim?
Esther.
Exactly.
Hadassah.
Exactly. And Chani has a daughter named Hadassah, and I have a daughter named Esther, and they're in the same class. And Hadassah was her more Jewish name, the name that she was given from birth, and Esther was her hidden name, the name that she was given when she went to the palace. So, what happens in the story? I'm going to share my screen with you. You're going to see a very powerful moment in this story with Esther. Everyone can see? Yeah? Okay. So here is chapter 4 of the story of Esther. What happens? There is a terrible decree that is made against the Jewish people. And in this terrible decree, Haman decides that he is going to kill all Jews in all of the provinces that are ruled by Achashverosh. Now, Mordechai, who is one of the leaders of the Jewish people at the time, his niece is in the palace. And that's Esther. Esther has been in the palace for many years at this point. And being in the palace for many years, she's there. Nobody knows who she is. Nobody even knows that she's Jewish. And Mordechai turns to her and says, you've got to do something. But what happens next is interesting. So let's see. Esther sends her servant Hatach. And Hatach goes out to Mordechai and says, what's going on? Esther wants to know, what's the matter with you? Why do you look so sad? Why are you sitting with sackcloth and ashes as if you're mourning? And Mordechai sends a message out saying everything that has happened. And he sends her a copy of the law that was just given out. And Hatach goes back and tells the words of Mordechai to Esther. And now Esther says in verse 10, Esther told Hatach to relate to Mordechai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes to the king and enters the inner courtyard without being summoned, he is but one verdict, execution, except for the person to whom the king extends his golden scepter, he shall live. And I have not been summoned to come to the king for 30 days now. So she basically sends back a message to Mordechai, I can't do anything. The king hasn't called me. And if somebody comes to the king without being called, off with their head. So I don't know what to do. So these words of Esther get to Mordechai. And now Mordechai sends back his message to Esther. And this is what's important to us. A, he says 2 points. A, do not think that you will escape the fate of all the Jews by being in the king's palace. Okay, don't think that you're going to be exempt from Haman's decree to kill all the Jews. For if you will remain silent at this time, okay, and this is point B that he has, relief and salvation will come to the Jews from another source. God's going to protect his people. Something's going to happen. And you and the house of your father, meaning your entire family line, will be lost. And here's the key line that we can all copy for ourselves and post on our bedroom walls so that we see it as soon as we wake up in the morning. And who knows if it is not for just such a time that you reach this royal position. Who knows if maybe the entire purpose of you being brought to the palace years ago was only for this moment. Maybe that's the entire reason why you're there to begin with. Have you ever thought about that? So then Esther sends a message back to Mordechai. Go and gather all the Jews and fast for me. Don't eat for 3 days and 3 nights. We're going to fast and then I'm going to go to the king. And then she says, and if I perish, I perish. And the tune when the Megillah is read for that is so telling. It's sung. V'kasher avadati, avadati. And if I die, I die. And if I'm over. But that's what needs to happen. It's a very telling tune to tell us what Esther's feeling at that moment and what her message really is. And then what do you see? Mordechai leaves and he does everything Esther instructed him. So first he's there inspiring her and pushing her. And then she's giving him the message and he is inspired by her to go and do what needs to be done. But the key line here is at the end of verse 14. And who knows if it is not for just such a time that you reached this royal position. What does this story with Esther have to do with our lives today? what does Esther's story tell us in our own lives? Susan, you wanted to say something. Go for it.
Well, I was going to answer the question. I didn't know whether it was rhetorical or not. But I think that when we ask, just how meaningful is this 19th load of laundry? That it's not the laundry. There's a reason we're here, and maybe we will never know what we did at that particular moment that we were sent here for.
Okay.
But we're here for a purpose. Maybe I'm off.
Okay, that's beautiful. More, Bonnie, yeah, tell us what you say.
Based on what you asked, the first thing to pop into my mind was that if I put myself in Esther's shoes, I think that's what you asked, but in this current time and how it relates would be that sometimes you have to stand up and do what's right, even when you're afraid or at the peril of possibly yourself. You have to kind of risk yourself to maybe try to make a difference to help the world as a whole.
Okay, great. So you're kind of pointing out
The
that
consequences
Esther
might be dire for you personally,
maybe. So Esther is first pointing out to Mordecai, she's like, well, anyone who
Yes.
comes to the king is going to die. And then
Right.
Mordecai's like, well, maybe this is the entire purpose for why you
Correct.
were born.
Right, so she decides to take the chance, but she couldn't know going in. I mean, going in, she's like, well, 99.9% of the time, you get beheaded if you go to the king without.
Right.
So that's
Right.
why I'm saying she said, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to stack the odds in my corner, but this is still a huge risk. And
Definitely.
I think that there are a lot of people now. Sorry, there's a truck going back and forth in front of my house. It's Staples truck. Maybe they're giving me an easy button. I don't know to answer the question, but I just feel like in today's environment, you have to be really brave to stand up even when it's at the risk of yourself to do what's right. And it doesn't mean you're not afraid. It just means,
Right. But that's very
that's the
definitely
comparison I took from Esther to today, because there's so many times where people are like, wait, hold the presses. This might not be popular, but this is the
100%, 100%. And that's a real challenge. Let's break up this story a little bit more, okay? So at first we see that Esther is being realistic. I mean, she definitely wants to do the right thing. And she's definitely a holy, righteous woman. She's an incredible person. But at the same time, she's just stuck in a certain frame of mind. I've been living in the palace. I'm subject to the king's rules. I've been here for years. I don't have the kind of power that you think I have. I'm just the queen. It's not like we think today that, the queen and king must have had equal power. Absolutely not. The queen was just, a puppet, like we kind of have today in England.
arm candy.
So Esther's saying, what am I even going to do? Anyone who comes to the king is going to be beheaded. And Mordecai shifts her perspective. Mordecai shifts her perspective from being focused on me and my life. Not that she was self-centered. She was never self-centered. But she was kind of stuck in her bubble of seeing the world from her eyes. Mordecai shifts her perspective to see the world from a higher purpose, to see the world from God's perspective, to show her that, no one's put in this world and no one's just put into a situation just, as we say in Ivrit, stam, just, randomly. It's never random. Whatever situation a person finds themselves in, it's because it's meant to be that way. So Mordecai's kind of shifting her perspective to realize if you're in the palace, it didn't just happen to be that you landed up there. You're there because there's a reason. There's something that you are supposed to accomplish while you're there. What is it? Maybe it's for this moment right now. Maybe this is the entire reason why You were put into the palace to begin with. Not so that you can be a cute little queen and you can parade around in nice clothes. Absolutely not. And Esther wasn't interested in any of that. Maybe this is the whole reason, so that you could save your entire people years later. So he shifts her perspective from what we like to call the shift from a meaningful life to a purposeful life. Many times, especially today, people search for meaning. People are on a constant search for what will be meaningful to me in my life. Will I feel that my day today was meaningful? Can I go to sleep tonight feeling that I had a meaningful experience? Did I bring meaning to my life? Did I bring meaning to other people's lives? I think Mordechai and the Jewish perspective kind of teaches us that the shift needs to be made from meaningful to purposeful. To what is my purpose here in this world? We need to explain this a little more. Look at this cute little image here. There are two perspectives that we could focus on. What will be with me? What will be with me? What's going to happen to me? You know, what's going to be in my life? To what am I needed for? Now, the sad face and the smiley face are not necessarily so correct, right? Because, you know, sometimes when somebody is, you know, focusing on themselves and what will be with me, I don't know, maybe that brings them more happiness. But I think at the end of the day, focusing on what am I needed for brings true joy, brings a deep, satisfying, inner, purposeful happiness. This is the shift that Mordechai is helping Esther make. What will be with me to what am I needed for? The king could chop off my head to what was I put in the palace to do? What is it that I am here to accomplish? Why was I born into this world? That's the shift that he's helping her make. What we see at the end is that once she makes that shift, she climbs to a higher level than Mordechai. You know, it started off being that he needed to inspire her. At the end of it, she's the one inspiring him. She goes and she tells him what to do. The entire Jewish people need to fast, and this is what I'm going to do. And, you know, and she gives him all the instructions for afterwards, and he does exactly as she says. But she needed that push. She needed that push to be able to climb higher and see outside of her bubble. And once she got there, it was her purpose in life. It wasn't Mordechai's purpose. It was hers. So she knew what she needed to do. And she did it. And that's why we have the story of Purim today. Because otherwise we wouldn't even be here. Right? If she hadn't gone with it and said, okay, Mordechai, I got you. Mordechai couldn't get into the palace and do what she needed to do. It wasn't his purpose in life. It was her purpose in life. All he could do was inspire her. All he could do was open her eyes to see, this is your purpose. This is what you need to do. Does it feel good? Are you going to feel like it was a meaningful experience after you go meet with the king and then you have to sleep with this guy who you really think is a disgusting man? Is that meaningful? Oh no. Esther did not like being married to this man, okay? Achashverosh was a drunk. He was a crass man. He began his life as a stable boy and rose to power. I mean, there was nothing refined about him, nothing him and Esther had in common at all. Would it be a meaningful experience for her to go meet him and spend the night with him and invite him to a party and kind of, you know, convince him about what needs to happen? No. But that was her purpose. And she finally realized that. And that's why she was able to save the entire Jewish people. You know, sometimes meaning can be what we feel. You know, for some people, Strolling along the beach in your underwear with a martini is a very meaningful experience. I'm sure other people, have all sorts of interesting, meaningful experiences. Sitting in the forest with bongos and howling into the winds. God, I'm sure could be very meaningful for some people. Everybody has all sorts of interesting, meaningful experiences. My 2-year-old finds a lot of meaning in unraveling countless rolls of toilet paper. I'm not quite sure what's meaningful about that, but she finds a deep satisfaction in very exciting. It's definitely not her purpose in life. And I need to be her Mordechai to show her that this is not your purpose. Let's find something else. Let's find something, productive. What's your real purpose? What's something that you can really be accomplishing in life? We all need a Mordechai. We all need somebody to redirect us, to reshift us, to reshift from meaningful to, what's my actual purpose? Because it's a really hard shift. And it's really difficult to do it on your own because, you're stuck in your life and you see your life from your perspective. You need someone to, pick you up from above and say, hey, like, look at this from a bird's eye perspective. Look at it from God's perspective. I know that's really meaningful, but what's purposeful? What's your purpose in life? We all need to find that Mordechai in our life, whether it's a really good friend or a spiritual mentor, not just a regular spiritual mentor, but somebody who has, real Torah in their life to give you a Torah perspective, to shift your perspective like Mordechai did for Esther. But then it's in your hands because your purpose is yours and it's no one else's. And no one else can accomplish your purpose in life. Mordechai could not do it for Esther. And if he had tried, he would have never saved the Jewish people. She did it, and she did it far better than he could have ever imagined. Your purpose is yours, uniquely, your own. And it's what you need to do in this world in order to make this world the good place that it's meant to be. And every person has a purpose in their life, something that they need to do that absolutely no one else can do. So sometimes we start to think, if I'm just going to focus on my purpose and put all my own personal meaning aside, I might start to feel really small. I might start to feel, worthless or inferior. I'm just, I just have a purpose and I need to do that and that's it. And then we don't really feel that we have the ability within us. The opposite is true. The opposite is true. Because true smallness is what happens when a person stops thinking what we said over here. Pull this up again. When a person stops focusing on what will be with me and instead focuses on what am I needed for. That smallness allows you to become truly great and truly happy. Let's take this a step further to really understand what we're talking about here. Each of us is chosen for a life no other could perform. There's something in this world that each of us is meant to accomplish. Something that you can do that nobody else can do in this world. That was Mordechai's message to Esther. You were born, you were chosen for this life. It doesn't feel very meaningful to you, but this is what you are able to accomplish that absolutely nobody else in the world can. This is your purpose. Each of us has a story like Esther. Each of us has a purpose, something in this world that nobody else can accomplish except for us. That could make you feel small. It could make you feel, well, the only reason why I'm here is for my purpose. Guess I shouldn't really focus on myself too much. Or it could make you feel truly great. It could make you realize that you were born with a purpose that nobody else in the entire world can accomplish. No one. Nobody can be Esther. And nobody can be Ashley and Eileen and Elisa and Bonnie and Susan and Rolly and everybody else. Nobody can do you. Nobody. Thank you for having two Eileens, and I only have to say one. I don't have to say twice. Nobody can do you, your purpose in this world. No one else is going to do it. This idea comes from a really powerful chapter in the book of Tanya. Now, the book of Tanya, some of you have studied, we've done a bunch of stuff from it before. It was written by Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi. Yep, you got it right there, Practical Tanya. And it's really meant to be studied with a guide, but it's really a book that's the best self-help book ever written for your soul. There is nothing that tops it. And it kind of gives us the perspective of what we're really needed for in life. So I'm going to read a few lines for you from this book of Tanya. So here we go. You have the Tanya in front of you. This small picture here is a picture of Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, who, by the way, this Shabbat and Sunday is a very special day for Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi and for all of Chabad, because it is the day when Rabbi Shneur Zalman was released from prison in Russia a few hundred years ago. And the reason why he was in prison was for teaching these very ideas that are published in this book that we're studying now, which was in many ways illegal at the time, and was fought against by many other people. Wound him up in jail with a death sentence. And the fact that he was released from prison was a spiritual statement saying that above there was a court case against him, whether or not he should be allowed to teach such deep secrets of Torah. And he won the court case. And the fact that he won meant that he should continue teaching even more. And that's exactly what he did. And that is why we have Chabad today. And all these teachings are available to us. Because above it was decided that these deep secrets of Torah were now allowed to be taught in this world. Anyways, that's a little tidbit about what's happening Shabbat and Sunday. So I'm going to scroll down to the middle of this chapter. Right here. So here we talk about how great and powerful God is. As it is written, do I not fill heaven and earth? So God is so great and so vast and so beyond everything that we are here. And yet, he leaves aside the creatures of the higher worlds and the creatures of the lower worlds, meaning all the angels that exist in all the other worlds. He uniquely bestows his kingship upon his people, Israel in general, where God is known as King of Israel, and upon him or her in particular. In Hebrew, it doesn't say male or female, just English doesn't have a word for both. For a person is obligated to say, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. For my sake, the world was created. A person is obligated to understand that it's for you that the entire world was created. And then he, for his part, accepts God's kingship upon himself, that he be king over him, to serve him and do his will in all kinds of work. So when we're saying here, the world was created for me, we don't mean all the chocolate truffles and all the, I don't know, Disney World roller coasters and all the spa manicures and massages I could get. That's why the world was created. That's not what we mean. We mean, for my sake, the world was created for me to serve him and do his will, meaning for my purpose, for the purpose that God gave to me. That's why my entire world was created. That's why the entire world as I see it was created, because I have a purpose in this world that's so great and so powerful that I have to recognize that everything around me is there to help me accomplish my purpose in this world. Bishvili nivra ha'olam. For my sake, the world was created. So that's a shift. That's a real shift, to realize that when I look at the world around me and I see all the cute things that I see in my life, all of those things are there in my world for one reason: to help me accomplish the purpose for which I was put into this world. And that's not selfish. That's purpose oriented, because it's not about me anymore. It's about what God wants me to get done in this world. Sometimes we feel small. We feel like, who am I to stand up for what's right? Who am I to speak up in this situation? It's it's not appropriate for me to speak in front of all these important people, even though I really have something important to say. It's not appropriate for me to be the one. Sometimes we get that feeling. But if we focus on the words of the Alter Rebbe, if we focus on the words of Rabbi Shneur Zalman, we completely shift our perspective. It's not about me. It's not about, you don't have to be so small and so little that you forget what needs to be accomplished. You have to be small in realizing that your own selfish desires are not necessary. But you have to be great in realizing that there is something that only you can accomplish in this world. And if you sit quietly and shut up because you think you're too small to speak in front of all these great and important people around you, your mission is not going to happen. Your purpose in this world just won't happen. And who knows if maybe this is the entire reason for why you were put into the palace, for why you were put into this world. So you can't shut up, and you can't sit there quietly, and you can't say, somebody else will get the job done. Maybe this is your job. Maybe this is what you were supposed to accomplish. Why do you know about it? If not for the fact that there's something that you should be involved in with this. But it's not about you. It's about your purpose. It's not about you feeling good about what you did. It's about what God needs you to do. And this, I love this picture because this says it all. The only way to change the world is by changing who you think you are. See this little guy looking in the mirror? That might be who you think you are. Look in the mirror and see this. Look in the mirror and see who you really are. Who are you really? You are your purpose. You are your potential. You are what you were put in this world to do. So if you're going to sit there and be all small and it's not really for me, it's for somebody else, it's not going to happen. The purpose for which you were put into this world might never happen. True, you might be small. And it's good to realize that you're small. And it's good to not be filled with your own ego. But when it comes to the purpose for which you were put into this world, you are truly great. You are the greatest of great. The entire world was created for you, for your purpose for which you were put into this world. So we can never stop thinking about what we're truly here for and what we're truly meant to accomplish. I'm going to tell you a story that to me brings out this idea in the most powerful of ways. And that is a story of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who inspires us, to do the things that we do today in our life. Starting a Chabad here on campus, and Chani starting Chabad of Kab. And this is a great story. So the Rebbe obviously had a very, very tight, busy schedule, only slept a few hours every night. And people knew that. Well, there's this one man who had a troubling situation in life, and he heard that he could get good advice if he went to the Rebbe. He's trying to inquire, how can he meet with the Rebbe and ask for advice? And he hears that if you want to get a meeting, it's going to take months and months till you can finally get a meeting. But then someone says, every morning, Rebbe comes out of his personal house and he walks or he gets a ride to his office, to the big synagogue, to 770. And if you stand right there outside of his house in the morning, you'll be able to talk to him as he's on his way. So he thinks, great idea. I have a really big problem in life. I have some questions. I'm going to go stand outside the Rebbe's house early in the morning and I'll ask him a question. And he does that. Gets up early, stands outside the Rebbe's private home. And as the Rebbe comes out of his home, he approaches the Rebbe and he talks with him. He shares his personal struggle and he asks him for advice. And they spend a few minutes in discussion and the Rebbe gives him advice. And he's happy. And then, the Rebbe walks on and the man's standing there. And from across the street, a group of young yeshiva guys dash over to this man. And boy, do they give it to him. They say, who are you to bother and disturb the Rebbe? Don't you know what a busy man the Rebbe is? Don't you know that every second and every minute of the Rebbe's day is accounted for? How could you stop the Rebbe and disturb him from his Torah study and from his global guidance and from all the important things that the Rebbe is supposed to be accomplishing? Who are you to stop the Rebbe and disturb his entire schedule for your little discussion that you felt you need ahead? And they really give it to this guy. Now this man is, he feels terrible. He feels that he really did something wrong. And he decides that he's going to write a letter to the Rebbe to apologize for disturbing him. And so he does that, writes a letter to the Rebbe, and he gets a reply right back. He describes the entire situation, exactly what happened, and he apologizes for wasting the Rebbe's time. The Rebbe writes to him two things. A, those yeshiva boys were in the middle of Seder. They were in the middle of a day of scheduled learning, and they were playing hooky. They were supposed to be in class. They were supposed to be sitting in yeshiva learning, and they were standing outside in the street. So pay them no attention. That's A. B, the Rebbe says, every neshama, every soul comes down into this world to fulfill a unique purpose, to accomplish one thing. Perhaps that one thing is simply to do a favor for another Jew, simply to help another Jew out. Perhaps stopping this morning, or whatever morning it was, and listening to you and giving you guidance was my entire purpose in life. And so I am grateful that you stopped me and we had our discussion and that I was able to help you. To me, that sums up this entire idea. Because when you talk about the Rebbe, you talk about a person who was truly great. You talk about somebody who saw the entire world and had an impact globally in literally every country on the planet. And yet, to the Rebbe, one Jew and one personal encounter with another human being was never too small to be given full, undivided attention. So I learned from the Rebbe that we can never be too great and we can never be too small to find our purpose in this world. We can never be too great to think, this is beneath me. This is for someone else. We can never be too great that our ego gets in the way of allowing us to fulfill our purpose. Like the Rebbe said, maybe my entire purpose is to help you. So I'm grateful that you stopped me. We can never be too great to allow our own perspectives to get in our way. And we can also never be too small to find our purpose. We can never be too small that we think, oh, that's beyond me. That's for somebody that's greater than me. That's for somebody more capable, more talented, more outspoken, more extroverted, more than me. We can never be too great and we can never be too small. We just have to be purpose-oriented, mission-oriented. What am I trying to accomplish? Like Golda Meir famously and humorously once said, don't be so humble, you're not that great. I think at the end of the day, all of us have a mission in life. We all have a purpose. It's not about what we find meaningful, because the things that we find meaningful may not be our mission. It may be also, but it may not be. We don't know. So we're asking, how will we know what it is? You don't. But you simply can't be too small and you can't be too great to ignore the opportunities that come to you in life. You've got to keep both eyes open. You've got to keep your heart open. You've got to keep your mind open. And you've just got to be aware of what's happening around you to ask, well, maybe this is why I was put into this world. Somebody approaches the Rebbe in the street and asks for advice. Well, maybe this is why I was put into this world. Let me stop and help this guy. You see a situation that needs help. Maybe this is the reason why you were put into this world. If you can help, if you truly cannot help, then this is not your purpose. You're not going to affect the elections, right? Well, that's over anyways. But what can you really affect? That might be your purpose in this world. Can you help your neighbor? Can you help someone lonely? Can you learn more Torah? Can you give more charity? Well, maybe that's your purpose in this world. I don't know. I don't know what my purpose is, and I don't know what your purpose is. But all I know is that I can't think of myself as being too small, and I can't think of myself as being too great. I need a Mordechai in my life, and my Mordechai is all the Torah learning that I do, and my Mordechai is the Rebbe, who I am constantly inspired by, to give me that push, to give me the push to remember that I am Esther, that I have a purpose in my life that only I can accomplish and nobody else can. So l'chaim to all of us powerful, unique, individual women who each have our own purpose and our own mission in this world. And that's what we were put here for. And l'chaim that we should open our eyes and realize who we truly are and get it done. L'chaim. Any comments, questions, discussions, ideas? Go for it, Eileen. You gotta unmute yourself. You're still muted. The bottom and the left. There you go. You got it.
from, to reframe very, in my mind, what you were saying, which was so powerful, would somebody know that they're doing, I take it that they won't know at the time that they're fulfilling their meaning in life when they're actually doing it. Is that correct? I mean,
Correct.
okay, you don't, so your purpose is to do a lot of purposeful things, and one of them will be it.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, that's the plan.
But it's not something that for instance, you gave an example of your daughter. Your daughter had fun playing with the toilet paper. But if somebody has inside them the gift of, let's say, cooking, that is a gift. Now, to make it meaningful, perhaps they give it to people who have no food.
Mm-hmm. That
But-
could also be your purpose in life. If you are given a talent, then you have a responsibility to use it for something good. And that's very possible that that's your purpose in life. You don't know exactly what the purpose is, but you also have a bunch of mini purposes. You know, it's not just one thing. You've got one real thing that you're here to do, like Esther had to save the Jewish people, but that doesn't mean that was her only purpose. You know, she also had a lot of other things that she accomplished in life.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, I'm leaving here. I'm getting out there.
I just wanted, I feel like sometimes that purpose might happen and you don't even realize it happens, you know, the whole ripple effect, like you do something and then you're gone and you don't realize how that may have affected so many other people in a positive way. I mean, we talk about the ripple effect in a negative way when something catastrophic happens, all the things that reaches out to follow, like the pandemic, and you know, people get sick and lose jobs, and you know, but on the opposite end, someone can do something that just seems so, oh, it's just a little thing, but the ripple effect could be huge in a positive way, and maybe they don't even notice that they did their one thing, and they don't realize that what they did on that day was the start of this amazing change that was brought in a positive way to humanity or something.
Sure.
It could be a 10-year-old kid that, you know, I mean, I'm simplifying it, that started collecting toys for kids in need, and it became this thing that ended up employing people and helping families, and, you know.
Definitely.
So I feel like we might not never know that what that huge purpose was, because it might be transparent to us. We might not have realized that one small act of kindness had this huge impact. I hope I'm explaining that well, but.
Yeah, go for it, Ashley.
I think we've all got to realize that we have so much potential within us. And I think that's quite inspiring to know that you can fulfill that and help so many other people,
Totally.
you know, around you, and inspire them.
100%.
And I guess also that maybe it's never too late. Like, we all are at a mature age, most of us. Most of us are at a mature age. But we may still not have yet to fulfill our purpose. So, you know, it's not like just because you've lived part of your life not doing something, or, you know, you still have the chance to do that.
100%. Jewish people never retire.
Right.
You might retire from your job, but that's not your life.
Right.
Life is your purpose. Your life is your mission, what you're supposed to be accomplishing here in this world, and you've got a long time to go.
That's very true, because Alan thought he was semi-retired, but then he turned around and helped a sick friend, which turned into him coaching Weber Golf, which also turned into him helping second helpings. And so
there you go.
the busy, and now he's helping me with Silverline. We always say he's the busiest person we know.
100%. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it more than one purpose? Could a person have more than one purpose?
I definitely think so.
Yeah.
So if you put it in a circle to me, you're out there reaching out to do different kindnesses for people, and maybe that bingo was the purposeful one.
Mhm.
And do
never
get the no? What?
You're never gonna know.
Okay.
There will come a time when you will know. You'll be able to look back on your life and say, there, but you just don't want to miss opportunities. That's the main thing. And it's not just about doing kindnesses for people. It's about all the mitzvot that there are in the Torah. You just don't want to lose an opportunity to try them all out, you know? Do all of them. Just whatever you can do. Do them all.
Would a simple taking a walk and you say hi to a little boy, is that something, brighten up his day? I mean, when a little kid smiles, is it something so simple rather than have the rippled effect, something very minute that affects the
It
person?
definitely could be. And it could be that there are many moments like that that are part of your personal purpose. That's why we say you can't be too small and you can't be too great. It can be too great to think that you shouldn't say hello to a little boy on the street, because you never know. Good conversation, guys.
Okay.
All right. So good to see all of you. Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you, Shifra.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Have an awesome, purposeful week.
Thank you.
And you too.
Ah.